Hare Krishna, and welcome to another episode of 50 years ago today, a celebration of Srila Prabhupada's letters. We do this because we can learn a lot on how our founder Acharya, how he thought, how he instructed his devotees, how he ran his movement. Of course, many are personal instructions, they're individual, but very often, almost always, in the personal instructions, there are certain universal principles. And some of the letters are really meant for everyone. So today, 29th April, we are going to take a look at the letters that Srila Prabhupada wrote 50 years ago. As in the previous days, he was in Los Angeles, and he wrote to some important devotees. Let's see. The first one is to Atreya Rishi Das. He was a professional devotee, he took a lot of responsibility in the movement. And in fact, here Srila Prabhupada talking something very practical regarding purchasing the Washington, D.C. temple. Yes, we can do it. We can invest $70,000. And Damodar can pay $700 per month, net rent. So you negotiate and we shall purchase in the name of MV Trust. Probably this is the Mayapur Vrindavan Trust. Not 100% sure. But here in Los Angeles, we have invested $63,000 in one house, and we are getting $800 per month rent. So you consult with Karandar and do the needful. And that's it. Besides the beginning, please accept my blessings. I'm in due receipt of the letter dated April 25th. I've read the contents carefully. And at the end, I hope this meets you in good health, your ever well wisher. So this is we could say, a very practical letter. We can buy the Washington, D.C. temple. We can invest $70,000. Of course, at the time, $70,000, the value would be much more than today. With $70,000 in Washington, D.C., you can buy very little today. And he gave the example how he could get it back by paying rent. Damodar probably is the temple president. And here he also is saying how in Los Angeles they have I've invested $63,000 in one house, and we are getting $800 per month rent. Okay, so this is how Srila Prabhupada was directing even the practical aspects of his movement. Next is Dear Kirtanananda Maharaj. Kirtanananda Maharaj was in New Vrindavan in West Virginia. I beg to acknowledge receipt of your letter dated April 24, 1973, with enclosed Dakshin check for $200, for which I thank you very much. Yes, I will come for the groundbreaking ceremony because it is a special event. So you please send tickets for 4 of us to come. Regarding the initiations, enclosed are 4 mantra sheets and 1 sacred thread chanted on by me for the 4 Brahmins. And I'm pleased to accept the following as my initiated disciples: Sarveshwari Dasi, Dunyarupini Dasi, Gomata Dasi, Rajeswari Dasi, Lajjhavati Dasi, Ishvara Dasi. So you perform the fire yagya for the Brahmins and let them hear the Gayatri mantra from the tape, which I have recorded into their right ear. You may chant upon the beads for the first initiates. So Srila Prabhupada, as the movement grew, started delegating more and more functions of the initiation to others. What are the different steps? One is to chant on the japa of the initiates, then to give the japa, and to do the yagya, fire sacrifice, and then for the second initiation, Brahminic initiation, to also give the mantra in the ear. So he started delegating as the movement grew more and more aspects. So here he is still giving the names. Later on, he left to others to choose the names. And in another letter, for instance, at one point he says, now it costs so much to send so many japas, so you chant the leaders and you chant the japas on my behalf. It's the same thing, it's the same link. You're my disciple, you will chant on my behalf. But I would send the Brahmin threads because it costs much less to send them, much less weight. So he was very conscious not to waste any amount of money. Now we'll talk more about this because unfortunately there are some elements in our movement who says that women can only they don't have a varna, and they can only be the varna of their husbands. But we'll see how Srila Prabhupada actually made ladies also without husband to Brahmanas, into Dvija. Is very, very clear. We'll see some examples later. This will be a little bit of unpacking today. So let's go to the next, and then we'll get into this topic of women's varnas and women's as Dvijas or Brahmanas. Next letter, next and last for today. My dear Madhudvis Maharaj, your letter has been forwarded to London, New York, and then to here. Remember, this is 50 years ago. There was no email. Srila Prabhupada discouraged very much to use the phone, too costly. There was no internet of any kind, no WhatsApp. So these were physical pieces of paper will travel some time from one corner of the world to another. In this case, Madhudvis Maharaj was in Australia, so Srila Prabhupada is explaining the letter had been forwarded to London, then to New York, and then to here in Los Angeles. Regarding Sudama Vipra, I've heard that he's in South America, but would like to have it confirmed. So please write me in this regard. So imagine that, especially with the mentality of today, how hard it will be to follow up with all the disciples. Now it would just be a WhatsApp group of the GBC, another WhatsApp group for the sannyasi, or a WhatsApp group for all the temple presidents, and everything could be explained or informed in real time. At that time, there was only this, what we call today, snail mail. Of course, at the time was not called snail mail because that was the normal speed of communication. So he wanted to know if Sudama Vipra was really in South Africa, but you should stay there in Australia. It is not necessary for you to go to China. It's a fact that Madhudvis Maharaj did a lot of service in Australia. There are descriptions in different biography. So Srila Prabhupada wanted him to remain in Australia. Last sentence, regarding reading Mahabharata, why divert your attention in this way? Bhagavatam is also Mahabharata. There are so many books I've presented already, so whatever you have got, just become expert in that. There are many things still yet to be learned. So apparently, Bhagavad Maharaj asked if he should study Mahabharata, but Srila Prabhupada was not encouraging. Why divert your attention in this way? Bhagavatam is also Mahabharata. We can take it as, of course, the Bhagavatam is the ripened fruit of all the Vedic literature, so it's the ripened fruit also of the Mahabharata. The study Mahabharata, of course, is spiritual because it contains so many Leelas of Krishna and his devotees, but it also contains a lot of Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha type of topics, while Bhagavatam is Amala Puranam, is completely pure, is for people who are completely pure, while the Mahabharata is also for people who are mixed. So that may be real difficult to extrapolate, what we actually, as Vaishnavas, especially as Gaudiya Vaishnavas, we should follow of the Mahabharata, and what we could take it as reference, as a description, but not as a prescription. Of course, Mahabharata involves the Bhagavad Gita, so, and Bhagavatam is also Mahabharata, could be taken that both are Krishna Katha. But Srila Prabhupada did not want, in particular, Madhuri Maharaj, to divert his attention. Okay, as I announced in the Mayapur forum this morning, we'll spend a little time about this idea, which is circulating, mostly, of course, in what we define the neo-smarta environment. Like just yesterday on Facebook, somebody wrote, the woman, the woman is a man, but name is not important. A woman does not have a varna on her own. She gets the varna of her protector. Vivaha samskara is a reformatory process. So three statements, all of them wrong or only partially true. The first is, a woman does not have a varna on her own. So this is basically considering women less than human, because every civilized person has a varna, has a nature. It's like considering women like cows. As if you say, this is the cow of the king, and this is the cow of the farmer, and this is the cow of the priest, of the brahmana. So the designation is just because it belongs. So if the king donates the cow to brahmana, now the cow is the cow of the brahmana. It's a very similar type of mentality that these neo-smartas bring to the table. Consider a woman, they don't have a varna. And in fact, Srila Prabhupada very clearly says in the Bhagavatam, for instance, let's read something. This is from the 7th canto. This is where Narada Muni talks about the different duties of civilized people. 7th canto, chapter 11, text number 30. Srila Prabhupada saying that in the purport, the four principal divisions of society, Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Shudra, have been defined. And now there is a description of the Antyaja, the mixed classes. Among the mixed classes, there are two divisions, Pratilomaja and Anumlomaja. And this is now the evidence of how women have their own varnas. If a woman of a high caste marries a man of a lower caste sometimes is the English translation that Srila Prabhupada uses for varna, social division. If a woman of a high caste marries a man of a lower caste, the union is called pratiloma. Pratiloma is considered inauspicious. It's not recommended, and it's very rare. Parati means against, so it's not progressive. It's not recommended. Also, because a woman in traditional culture, in Vedic culture, is supposed to serve the husband, assist the husband, and so it will be some sort of, we could say, rasa basa, if a woman of higher caste, higher quality, higher characteristic, more noble, should serve a man of less characteristic. If a woman, Srila Prabhupada continues, if a woman of a low caste, however,